We,
Okay, Dylan, if you want to go ahead and start.
yeah. What's up, guys? Everybody, welcome to the Herd of Profit Zoom. I'm a bit tired, so I'm trying to remember what I'm supposed to do. So, yeah, thank you guys for showing up. We have 48 people on time, so appreciate all of you guys, all you beautiful people for showing up. This is the Elephant Challenge, so welcome to it. If you guys are new to the Elephant Challenge, or at least new to the Herd of Profits, that's the name of our group. We do this every week. If you guys have never been in our Zooms, or you're just new to the Elephant Challenge in general, if you could just type a 1 in the chat for us, and we will shout you out. Brian, he's quick with it. Shannon, Eugene, Ryan, Tyson. Oh, well, there it goes.
Oh, lots.
Adriana, Jennifer, Trevor, Carlos. What's up, guys? Robert, thank you guys for showing up. We're super stoked to have you. Hopefully we can teach you a thing or two about real estate today. So we are going to go ahead and get started. Let me make sure I have the right pages opened up here. So we are going to talk about foreclosures today, how to call foreclosures, how to pitch creative finance, cash, get motivation, all that good stuff. So let's see where are we at. So first things first, we have our very own Facebook group that we would love for you guys to join. So if you're new to the Elephant Challenge, new to our group, we have our very own Facebook group called Herd of Profits. I'm going to type this, if it would copy all of it, into the chat right now. So for all of you guys that typed 1 in the chat, if you could go to the chat box and click the link that I just dropped, that will bring you to our Facebook group, Herd of Profits. We are 1,700 members and growing. You can post deals in this Facebook group. You can find buyers. You can be a buyer. You can find private money. You can find help for your deals, whether it be comping, locking a deal up, all of that good stuff. So if any of you guys are new again to our Zoom, what we ask you to do is when you request to join, make sure you fill out these questions. So Tyson, you just filled it out. If you guys could please answer these questions here. So yeah, we have a few people just request to join. If you could please go back and fill out those question forms. That way we know you're a real person, you're not just a bot. So please fill those out. Once you get in, if you could go to this featured tab, you can also come over here to featured, scroll down a little bit. Everyone, if you're new or an OG to our Facebook group, please fill out this form. So this form will just prompt you to fill out your information. What this does is it adds you to our CRM, and now you're able to send us leads. So the point of the Elephant Challenge, right, is this big, huge thing. There's so many ways to get started in real estate, right? You can flip homes, you can wholesale, you can do land development, you can do multifamily, you can be a lender, an agent, all that good stuff, right? There's a million things. You can do mobile homes. The only way to get started is the exact same way you eat an elephant, and that's just one bite at a time. So if you're new and you're stuck at some point, whether that's making your first phone call, pitching creative finance, getting a deal under contract, right? Whatever you're stuck in, finding a buyer for a deal you already have under contract, we can help you get you to the next step. Whether it's any of the things I just mentioned, or you're just needing one little bit of help, we can help you get it from A to Z all the way to the closing table, or just help you with the one little bit of help that you're needing. So once you fill out this form and you submit your information, this will prompt you to a screen with deal links. So we have a direct to agent lead form and a direct to seller lead form. So let's say you're calling agents, you're on Zillow, right? You have an agent that says, hey, we're open to creative financing, seller finance, subject to, right? Whatever the case is. And you're like, great, well, I'd love to send you an offer. And you don't know how to send offers. You don't have contracts, right? That's a lead that you can submit to us. And our CRM, you will be listed as the JV partner. So we can go ahead and comp it, underwrite it, send an offer. You'll be CC'd on the email. You will see all of the notes that we leave, all of the replies that the agent says. So that way you're involved with the deal the whole way. And then if we get a deal under contract that you submitted, you're CC'd on all the emails with our transaction coordinator, with the title company. We'll go ahead and start marketing and find the buyer, all that good stuff. So we want to hold your hand and bring you along the whole way. So if you guys request to join, fill out those questions. Come over here to, I lost it, to this. If you're new or an OG, make sure you fill out that form, and then here's the lead forms for you too. So oops, I just zoomed it. Great. Okay. And then lastly, we have been doing this elephant challenge thing for a year, very consistently. We've only ever missed a handful of Zooms over the year that we've been doing this. We've been doing 2 Zooms a week for a year now. So we have a lot of content that you guys can go back and watch. So if you come to Angie's YouTube channel, I'm going to drop the link to that in the chat now. So if you guys want to watch some of the past Zooms we've done, come to Angie's YouTube channel. Please hit that subscribe button. We're on our way to 2,000 subscribers, so we could use all the help that we can get. But yeah, some of the last Zooms we've done, we have called agents, pitched creative finance, underwrote those deals, sent letters of intent. We've walked sellers through contracts. We've comped properties live. You name it, we've probably done it in YouTube here. So come check out this and subscribe if you will, please. And yeah, that's all I have for our daily announcements. So let's go ahead and get started. So we are going to work on foreclosures. Is Rachel here?
No, she's not here. She's getting
On the way
ready
to the
to get
airport.
on the plane.
Okay, no
But
worries.
I've got the foreclosure list.
Okay, so what's the game plan then, Ange?
So that was something I wanted to ask everyone, if they, like, who knows about foreclosures, how to even start the process of a foreclosure. If you know, can you type a 1 in the chat?
Yeah, Jen does. Good. So if you have like at least just a basic knowledge of foreclosure, what that means for someone when they're in foreclosure, if you know the difference between foreclosure and pre-foreclosure, good. Okay. We have a decent amount of folks that know what they're doing. That's awesome. And if you don't, no worries. That's what we're here to teach you, right? So love it. Okay. So we have lists we're going to provide. Are we going to give the list to everyone?
Yeah, well, I'll put it in the chat. First, I gotta find it.
Just go over if you can. We're not there to take anybody's home. We're there to help them first and foremost.
Yep.
That's the main thing. Approach it with velvet gloves, and it's somebody's home. So we're not trying to keep it. So just go over your spiel with that.
Yeah,
sure
absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Love it. Love it. Sweet. And then, yeah, first of all, too, there's other leaders in the Elephant Challenge, right? They do an amazing job. Whether they're teaching the similar stuff that we're teaching or they do teach something completely different. But, obviously Pace provided these lists for us. So we do ask that if you call on this list and you get a lead, right, you bring it back to us and not to someone else totally random, right? So we provide value to you. We hope that you do that in favor. But yeah, the idea for foreclosures, right? We typically approach foreclosures as a group a little bit differently. There are a ton of people that took a foreclosure class or some type of tax lien class, right? And these people are door knocking or calling people in foreclosure. And the first thing they're saying is, hey, do you want to sell? Can you sell me your house? I want to buy it. Can you sell it to me? And for us, that just doesn't seem like the right way to go about it, right? Even though these people, some of them do want to sell or they need to sell and they know that. So they're waiting for people like you to call them and say, hey, can I buy your house, right? But the majority of these people, 100% of these people are getting blown up from lenders, debt collectors, wholesalers, real estate agents, you name it. They're getting 10 plus phone calls per day from people just like you and I, debt collectors, lenders, all that good stuff. So understand that these people are getting inundated with random people calling them, knocking on their door, sending them letters in the mail. So it's very aggressive when you call someone and just say, hey, I want to buy your house, or hey, do you want to sell? That's what everybody else is doing, right? Real estate agents are saying, hey, I'll list it. lenders are calling and say, hey, submit an application, we'll help you refinance, right? And we want to attack it from the approach that we are just here to help you. We are real estate experts. We can help you figure out whatever your best option is to save your home. If that's what you want to do, you know, probably more than half of the time, these people don't want to sell. They don't want to lose their home in foreclosure. They want to keep it. They want to save it, whether it's a rental property or their primary residence, right? They've fallen on some hardships, and it's likely they want to keep the home. So that's how we approach it. Anything we can do to help you keep the home and get out of this foreclosure, we would love to be those people. And it's a completely free service. We consult with you totally for free. There's no upfront cost, right? You don't have to pay for an application, none of that good stuff. Right. Veronica says I didn't want to sell my home. Right. Most people don't. We have helped dozens of people save their home in foreclosure before. And the reason we attack it from that approach, and I don't know if attack's the right word, we take it from that approach is because, right, we like to be able to sleep with ourselves. It's the honest, upfront thing to do. But we know that 50% of these people, even though they want to save their home and they don't want to move, they don't really have an option, right? That is their only option, is to either sell it or go to foreclosure, right? So you kind of take the better option there. Yeah, Ryan, good question, man. So one thing we do, Pace Morby actually has an amazing video, and I'd encourage you guys, right, to continue to learn and study and increase your capacity for knowledge on real estate in general. Pace has an amazing, and yeah, we have scripts that we're going to provide for you guys today too. So let me see if I can find this video.
I have
Pace
some scripts still, and I'll go grab them. Okay.
Okay. So Pace has some amazing videos on stopping foreclosure. I can't talk and type at the same time. And I want to drop this link in here so that way you guys have it. So there's different options that these people have, right? So I have it on big white paper in my office in case I ever need it. I can look back at it. So I'm going to drop the link to this Pace Morby video right now. I'd encourage you guys to save that and go watch it later. Don't watch it right now, but essentially there's 8 steps, right? There might be more, but these are the 8 main steps to stop a foreclosure. So their first option is always to do a loan modification, right? Most of these sellers have tried that, or they're in the process of doing a loan modification. So, and this video is so great because Pace not only breaks down these 8 steps, but he also talks about the mindset that these sellers are in depending on where they're at in the process of foreclosure, right? So, and most of you probably know what the difference between pre-foreclosure and foreclosure is, but if you don't, right? So pre-foreclosure means that the bank has noticed you've missed a few payments, right? Whether it be 1 payment, 2 payments, 3 payments, 4 payments, right? So once they notice you're missing payments, they send a notice of default. You're officially in pre-foreclosure. They say, hey, we notice you missed payments. If you don't catch these up, unfortunately, we are going to hire an attorney and begin a foreclosure, and we'll set an auction date, and your home will be sold to the highest offer. So they continue to go through pre-foreclosure. They give them a few more months, most likely, to catch these payments up. But if they don't, now they move into an actual foreclosure. And that means the bank is going to hire what's called a trustee, which is essentially a fancy word for an attorney. And that attorney is fighting against you, right? They get paid no matter if you save your home or you sell it, right? So they're going to issue a notice of default and set an auction date, right? So once you get issued an auction date and a trustee is assigned to your house, your loan, you are officially now in foreclosure, right? So most people, Pace described this very well, most people in pre-foreclosure, what they tend to do is they tend to turn into emus. They bury their head in the sand and just hope it goes away, right? They're going to win the lottery. The bank's going to forgive them for whatever reason, right? So if you're calling pre-foreclosures, most 9 times out of 10, these people are going to tell you, nope, I'm good. I don't need any help. I got it figured out. I know what I'm doing. I'm an adult, right? But from what we've learned, they don't. And then if you guys could check the chat. So Angie just dropped, are those both different scripts, Ange, that you just shared?
One is a script and one is ways to save,
Okay.
options, basic options, loan modification, forbearance, repayment plans, refinance. So.
Okay. Okay. Amazing. So yeah, if you guys want to go down, download those documents we just shared in the chat, I would highly recommend it. Okay, so the first step to stop a foreclosure, right, is a loan modification. Now, what that means is, and it depends, right? So they need to make 2 times their monthly mortgage and income per month. They need to show proof of income, all that good stuff. They need to be current on all their taxes, and they can't file for a loan modification more than 2 times in the same fiscal year. So if they check all those boxes, it's possible they can do a loan modification. And what that means is the bank will take their missed payments and essentially tack it on the back end, and they'll be given a new loan. In our experience, it's pretty rare that banks will do that, because if that person's missing payments, right, there's a reason they're missing payments. They lost their job, divorce, death in the family. They just can't afford those payments. If they make 2 times more income than what the actual mortgage payment is, it's likely they wouldn't have missed payments in the first place. So their debt to income is important. So loan modification, that is one way we have helped save a handful of sellers, is because they're trying to do a loan modification on their own. And you guys will learn when talking to foreclosures that these banks do not care one bit about these sellers. Once they get issued the notice of default, these banks will give them the runaround. They will tell them, hey, you need to call this person. That person will tell you to call this person. And it's a never ending circle. And these people do not know what the next step is. They don't know who the right person is to talk to. They don't know the right paperwork to fill out or who to send that paperwork to. And we've seen that multiple times. I've heard Angie on the phone almost yelling at customer service representatives from the bank saying, hey, I need to talk to your manager, and we'll call them back to back to back to back before we actually finally speak to that manager. And these sellers just don't know who's the right person to talk to, or they're not bold enough to keep calling that bank 10 times in a row to finally speak to the right person. But we have helped people complete loan modifications where the bank was just giving them a runaround. They didn't know what else to do. So we've helped people do that. The next step is to file or apply, not file, it's to apply for bankruptcy. Now, this doesn't stop a foreclosure, it just delays it, right? So let's say you are in the process of listing your home or selling your home or doing a loan modification, right? And you need more time. Let's say your auction date is in a week. One thing you can do to buy yourself more time is apply for bankruptcy. That typically will delay or halt a foreclosure, and it stops. It doesn't stop it, but it does pause it at least. So that gives you more time to now complete your transaction, complete your loan modification. So we'll help sellers apply for bankruptcy in hopes that we can find another solution so that way they don't have to finalize the bankruptcy. The third step to actually stop a foreclosure is to refinance. This step, I would say, out of a lot of them is going to be the toughest, right? So they have to be in good standing. They have to have good credit. Debt to income has to be good. Job history has to be good, right? So the home has to be in good financeable condition, right? So it's very similar to a loan modification. You're essentially just getting a new loan from a different bank. But same thing, right? If that seller can't make their payments for whatever reason, it's unlikely they would even qualify for a refinance. So that's number 3. Number 4 is some type of loan, right? Whether that's a bridge loan, a hard money loan, or a private money loan to catch up their missed payments. We've helped a seller do this where they were selling another property, but it wasn't going to close in time. So we connected them with a bridge lender, essentially, that lent them the money to catch up their payments. Once they finalized the sale of their home, they paid that bridge lender off, and they lived happily ever after. So that is an option, but unless they are going to come into some money, to be able to pay that loan off. Those loans are going to be typically at a high interest rate with a balloon, typically a 12-month or 24-month balloon. So not really a good option. It might save someone in the short term, but if they don't pay that loan off, then that lender is going to foreclose on them and they're back to phase one. Step number 5, this is short sales. So we've dealt with quite a bit of short sales because we look for homes with low equity, and that's what a short sale is. It's a home that's underwater. Amari says, so would you say telling them to sell the house to us is the last option? Yes. And I'll get to that, Amari. So, because they don't want to sell the home most of the time, right? They want some options. They want to know what all their options are to try and keep the home. So this is how we lay it out. Here's step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is a short sale. Now, these are for people that are underwater. They owe more than what their home is worth. Even if they sold it at market value, they would lose money. The banks would lose money. So a short sale is a good solution for someone who is upside down. They won't make any money, obviously, but they won't lose any money. The banks essentially agree to take a loss on the property. So that's an option. It is possible homeowners can get up to $10,000 in relocation funds as long as they are living in the property, but average is $2,500 they'll receive. So good question, Donna. I'm not too sure exactly how a short sale works, right? Because it's not a foreclosure. I don't know if it's a judgment, right? It just happens to be that they owe more on their house than what it's worth. Just a guess here, but I'm guessing it doesn't affect their credit.
A short sale is where they've missed payments and they decide to sell the home, but the home is not worth what it will sell, what they owe.
Okay.
That's a short sale, but they are behind on their payments.
Gotcha. Okay. So obviously missing payments will affect your credit. So okay, so that's option number 5. Number 6, and we push a lot of foreclosures to this route, is just to call a real estate agent and get it listed. And that's something we'll help them with too. We'll no matter what state it's in, because Angie is a real estate agent, we can also get a referral fee to refer them to a real estate agent. Sorry, someone's calling me. And then, typically that might be their best option. They need to have time on their side, right? Because it could take 90 days, if not more, to sell their home, right? So it needs to be financeable. The home has to be in good condition as well, right? You're not going to sell it on the market if it needs a ton of work. You're better off just selling it for cash to an investor. And unfortunately, right, normal real estate deals, they fall through all the time, whether the buyers don't like the carpet or they can't obtain financing, right? So it is a risky scenario because it could fall through. You could never get an offer on it. It couldn't sell. But typically, that's the way they're going to get the highest and best offer. They're going to get the most eyes on the property is by listing it. And that's usually their best option. Now, they have to have, like I said, time on their side. The house has to be in good condition, all that good stuff. Okay, so those are your first 6 steps. And now, I guess your first 4 steps are really to help them keep the home. 5 and 6 are other options for them to sell the home and probably, make as much money or not lose as much money. Option 7 is to buy the house in cash, right? So this is how a lot of wholesalers make big assignment fees. These people don't have time on their side, right? Sometimes they are going to go to auction within 2 weeks. They've tried loan mod. They've filed for bankruptcy. They can't refinance. It's too late to list it, right? Short sale companies take too long. So they can sell their home for cash to an investor or to a wholesaler that will then sell it to an investor. We've seen wholesalers make as much money as $80,000 on assignment fees, sometimes more, because these sellers have no options, right? They need to fire sell it. They need to sell it at a discount in order for it to sell fast, right? So that's number 7, right? And we always go for cash first because it's the easiest. It makes the most sense. Right now, these people have to have equity in their home. If they have a mortgage and no equity, it's more of a subject to offer, right? But if they have at least 40% equity, a cash offer could be a good fit for them. It closes quickly, you can be purchased as is. The buyer can pay for all the closing costs, all that good stuff. You can also help the seller find their next home through our brokerage or through a brokerage that we know in whatever state. Robert says, ChatGPT says, a short sale will affect credit rating. Okay, good to know. Dinged for the difference. Okay. Just reading the comments here. So that's number 7, right? Cash first. This is what Pace always talks about. Cash, creative last. Okay. So option 8, this is our last option, is creative financing. So this is really the best option for people with very little to no equity in their home, right? Robert, a novation probably would take too long. It depends, right? But if their home needs work, a novation could take too long depending on how much work it needs. But it could fall into this category, right? So it's really the best option for people that have little to no equity. Okay, so they just bought their home or they just refinanced a couple years ago. They don't have much equity. It's too late to probably do a short sale. And the short sale too, so you guys know, is the same process as listing it. They are just listing it with a real estate agent for a discounted price that the bank has to agree to.
And then explain the way a short sale works when you're purchasing the home, right? They have arrears. So those have to be paid off to stop the short sale. So depending on what their arrears are with the short sale, that's what you would have to pay off to get into to purchase the property.
Yep. Yeah, so that's why we do creative financing. We're able to reinstate the loan, right? Catch up their arrears, reinstate the loan, and then take over the payments from there. And obviously that helps that seller's credit, right? Because they're not getting foreclosed on. So their loan is now in good standing. And as we continue to make payments, it will help build their credit. So it is a good solution for some sellers, but like we say, it's always the last thing you want to go for. These sellers are going to have a very tough time talking to you about their mortgage when they're in foreclosure. They're embarrassed. They're angry that people keep calling them, right? So cash is just the language they want to speak. So creative finance is, again, the last thing that we go for. So, love it. Now, and then I want to explain to you briefly, like what happens to someone if they do go through foreclosure. It's essentially they're red tagged for at least 7 years. So if they ever want to apply for a credit card, a car loan, they can't even get an apartment. If they wanted to go and get an apartment and they saw a foreclosure on their record, that apartment will immediately deny them. Obviously, they're not going to be able to get a mortgage, right? So their credit is seriously affected. Their ability to borrow anything is almost gone for at least 7 years, right? So sometimes we deal with VA seller. I literally just got a property under contract in Alabama today, Vestavia Hills, if any of you guys are buying. But the seller is a veteran, right? So she only has roughly $450,000 of entitlement, meaning she maxed out her entitlement. And so she can't purchase another home, right? Unless she sells her home. Now, unfortunately, she has no other options, right? She's in foreclosure, pre-foreclosure. She's missing payments. No, she's in foreclosure. Her auction date is next month. So if she doesn't sell it traditionally, right, which she can't, her real estate agent has been trying. They can't sell it traditionally, right? It's too late for a short sale. So it's either get foreclosed on and lose your VA entitlement probably forever. If you're a veteran and you get foreclosed on, in my experience, from what I've heard, you lose your VA entitlement almost forever, not just 7 years, it's gone. So these are her options, right? Sell us your home and avoid foreclosure. At least you'll still be able to go get an apartment. You'll still be able to get an FHA or a conventional loan, or you can go to foreclosure and you won't ever get a VA loan, a conventional loan. You won't get an apartment, none of that, right? So we are helping her At the same time, it does affect her ability to get a VA loan, right? But it's the better of two evils, essentially. Not two evils, but for her, right, it's the best option. She'll still be able to get a loan, an apartment, all that good stuff. So Dylan says, great question, Dylan. This is a really good question. What happens when there is a silent second mortgage on an FHA loan? So what Dylan is referring to is what's called a down payment assistance loan. So a lot of FHA buyers, right, they get a second loan to help them with their down payment. And that's called CHAFA in some places. There's other companies that do it, but CHAFA is the most popular. Unfortunately, when a seller has a CHAFA loan or just any type of down payment assistance loan, a subject to deal is really not an option. You can't buy a property subject to a CHAFA or down payment assistance loan. If they see you even transfer the utilities into a different name, they will call that note due. So your only options are to pay that off as part of your entry fee. Even an executory contract, Lewis, like I said, even if you transfer utilities, they will still call it due. And this is still, I'm not an expert in this, but a fellow investor, sub-2 student here in Colorado, I was talking to him. He's trying to help a seller in that exact scenario. So what he did is he actually called CHAFA and said, hey, what does it look like for him to just rent this out? So they said, you have to apply. He filled out some paperwork. He's just going to buy it on a lease option, right? So he's just going to be the tenant per se, but he's going to now release it, what's called a lease option sandwich or a triple net lease. So he's going to release it, not release, release to another person, but he had to get approval from CHAFA and fill out some paperwork in order to do so. Because even if you transfer utilities, they will call that due. So good question. Lincoln says Vestavia is a good area. I know, Lincoln, you want to buy it? Good question. So awesome, guys. So I'm not really sure. Should we go over the scripts now, Ange?
Yeah, we can go with scripts.
Okay.
Maybe we do it one call, Bill.
Okay.
And
Amari,
I would start at the bottom because, or maybe midway, because I think people are already calling on these.
Right. Amari says, forgive my ignorance, but what prevents a bank from calling it due in a regular sub-2 deal? Good question, Amari. Nothing prevents them from calling it due. Every lender has what's called a due on sale clause, and I've pitched this 1,000 times to sellers. So it's just reps, and going through it is how we know how to handle this objection, right? Every single lender has a due on sale clause. It's you can't avoid it. Now, in our experience, it's extremely rare that bank calls it due. One, if it's a large lender like Rocket Mortgage, Chase, Wells Fargo, right? They have tens of thousands of loans across the country, if not more. So it's going to be very hard, one, for them to even find out that home was sold. And two, if they do find out it was sold, right, you have to think these banks are in the business to earn interest on their money. So it's not very financially beneficial for them to hire a trustee, an attorney, and begin a foreclosure process as long as the payments are being made, right? These banks don't want to have to pay a ton of money in court costs to take back a home on a performing note. These banks aren't in the business to own real estate. Banks do not want to own these houses. They lose money selling homes on auction. As long as the note's performing, right, they're typically happy. So but that being said, right, there have been many cases where banks call it due, and then we have some securities in place that we put to protect them. You got it, Dylan. Exactly. Yep. Daniel says, I've heard VA, FHA, and USDA loans do not have due on sale clauses. I've even heard Pace say in a video, VA loan will never be called due. Daniel, I wouldn't say in real estate too. Here's a really good training point for you guys. In real estate, 99% of the time, you don't want to speak in absolutes, right? You like how I did that? 99% of the time, don't speak in absolutes. And I never said never speak in absolutes, right? But you almost never, ever want to speak in absolutes, because you can really shoot yourself in the foot and or jinx yourself, right? So I don't think that's the case. VA, I know for a fact VA, FHA, and USDA loans do have due on sale clauses. It's, if you look back at the history, right, all these banks have due on sale clauses. It's in their best interest to have the due on sale clauses, right? Maria says, if they call it due, will you have time to refi? Yeah, you'll probably have time. It's the same thing as a foreclosure. So they give you a few months, right? They'll issue a notice of due on sale, probably not of default, right? As long as the payments are being made. So you'll have time to either refinance or sell or do whatever you need to do. But yeah, they do have due on sale clauses. VA loans will get called due, right? So yeah, write down to or put it in a lease option. All good points. So all right, let's look at the script here. Let me scroll back up. So if you guys haven't downloaded the script, make sure you go and do so now. This sucker over. So I'm going to go ahead and share screen. Actually, let's pause real quick, guys. In solidarity, what we're going to do. I'm going to do some self-promotion here. We have 69 people. What a solid number of people to have on here. So I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers on Instagram. If you guys could and you don't mind, follow your boy on Instagram. Dropping the link to that. Sweet. Yeah, if you guys could come follow your boy on Instagram, I'd greatly appreciate it. So that's my plug. I'm going to do that again probably later. Maria, thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, so let's look at this foreclosure script. Jen says, if we already follow you, what else can we do? I could drop my Venmo in the chat if you want, Jen.
Follow Dom.
Follow Dom. Yeah, follow Dom. Follow the rest of the team. I don't know.
Don't follow your dreams, follow Dylan's Instagram.
Yeah, that was my senior quote.
Dylan, did you put your handle on there when you said that though?
I just dropped the link. No, they wouldn't let me. They wouldn't let me do that.
Sure.
Yeah. On my senior quote in high school, my quote was, "Don't follow your dreams, follow me on Twitter." But they wouldn't let me.
I saw that when I first met you, Dylan, in the yearbook, and I was like, "Oh, look what Dylan wrote."
Yeah, they wouldn't let me drop my handle though, so I was
that's
upset.
funny.
Sweet. Good. I'm glad you guys like that. Okay, sweet. So let's look at this script. This is my first time looking at it. I'm not too familiar with this, right? I typically am a fly by the seat of my pants, whatever that saying is. So hello, is this Bruce Willis, right? This is, sorry to bother you. I know a ton of people are probably calling you. So, and you guys, I think, let's see, what is the access like on this? Anyone with this link is a viewer. Okay, good. So one of my favorite lines, and this works the majority of the time because it can get you a laugh and it can drop the wall down. I would take this note if I was you guys. I love this line. It's, "Hey, my name is Dylan. I'm just another annoying person giving you a call about your house." Especially if you're calling foreclosures. That's such a good line, right? Because it's like, you're addressing the elephant in the room, right? You know they're getting phone calls, so address that, right? "Hey, I'm just another annoying person calling you about your house. I know a ton of people are probably calling you trying to buy your house because your lender put your property up for auction on public records, but that's not why I'm calling you." And again, make this your own, right? You don't have to use this every time. Every time I pitch subject to, seller finance, cash, my phrase is different all the time, and it's usually depending on how I'm feeling, the area that I'm calling, and also the tone of the seller that I'm talking to, right? So if they're very upbeat and bubbly, I'm going to try to match that. And if they're a very short, direct point to the person, direct to the point type of person, I will try to match that as well too. Joanne says, "I can't find the list." Yep, Dylan's got it. Mir, can you? I don't think we haven't dropped the list yet, Joanne. Have we? I don't know.
I did.
Okay. Maybe repost.
Okay, give me a second. It's at the
Um,
chat.
okay. Hey, Derek. Yeah, let me shoot you email real quick. Let
Oh,
me shoot you
no,
an
that's
email
not
real
it.
quick, Derek.
Hang on. Let me go grab it.
Sorry, guys. Pausing. Boom, Derek, you should have just got that, brother. Okay. So let me keep going through this script. That's not it. Okay, so I'm calling you to possibly help you with your situation by going over some options you have to stop or postpone the auction. Would you be opposed to going over those options you may not know or have heard of? So I really like that, right? When I was calling foreclosures a ton, right? It's like, hey, my name's Dylan. I'm just another annoying person giving you a call about your house. Now I'm not an agent. I'm not an investor. What we do is we consult with people. We offer free consultations to help people know all of their options to possibly save their home, right? So I'm offering free consultations to give you all of your options so that way you know how to save your home. Different responses, yes. Great. Before I go over everything, can you tell me what you've done so far to try to stop the auction and postpone it, right? Listen to their story and gather their information. And this is very important in sales in generally, right? In general, the best thing you can do when you're ever in this type of situation is to really turn up your listening, right? So I love doing this, and you can ask Joey or Angie. Well, what's going on, Angie? Listen, she says. Is I will let someone finish their thought and then literally count in my head 3, 2, 1 before I say something, because I want to make sure they got their thought out right. They're not going to continue to say something. This works when you're in a spat with your spouses too, right? Let them exhaust themselves by saying everything they need to, and then mirror what they say. Okay, great. It sounds like you're going through a tough time because of your divorce. And the key there is you want someone to say that's right. They want to make sure they're heard. So now move into options. So there's 5 main options. You have to stop your foreclosure or postpone it to buy yourself some time, right? So reinstatement, these are all things we just talked about. So and these are just the 5 options, right? So reinstatement, paying off the arrears. You can get money from family, friends, a short-term loan, take money out of a 401k with a penalty for pulling money out. So that's a good option too. I didn't even think about that, but that's a great option. If they have a company 401k or a pension or a Roth IRA, they can pull money out of that to catch up their arrears at a penalty, of course. Making sure I'm reading the chat. We got links. Okay, sweet. Okay, so take money out of 401k, right? So if they can find some sort of money, whether it's from a rich uncle, 401k to reinstate their loan, right? That's their best option. Loan modification, we talked about this. Apply as soon as, and then once you apply for loan mod 2, that will delay it. Chapter 13, bankruptcy, not my favorite because it can destroy credit and it's only a band-aid to the problem. It will immediately stop foreclosure and give the homeowner a few months to figure out the situation. But time of postponement is different for each state. Cash offer, this may be a good option after you have tried all the other options, right? So this is where we say, okay, it's so good to figure out what options they have already tried, right? Have you tried a loan mod? Have you tried a bankruptcy? Have you tried a bridge loan? Have you tried to refinance? All that good stuff. Okay. Unfortunately, you ran out of options. Now it's time to figure out, how do we either sell this home to stop the foreclosure, because you're out of options. You can't keep it, so let's help you sell it.
Dylan, can I just chime in? I was asking Angie if I could go ahead and comment as a therapist
Sure.
who's had to do like hundreds of thousands of hours of listening and really awkward conversations with people. First of all, you are a tremendous listener. So I just want to compliment you on your listening. It's really important to get a view, like the way when I was training years ago, it was like get a 360 view of their life, and that helps a person feel validated and helps them open. So confirming. So, wow, it sounds like you've tried so many things. That must have felt really exhausting. Or how are you feeling in all that process? Where are you now? Because that involves a lot of emotions. So calling out their experience will also help a person feel that kind of closeness to you. And I use this 3-step process that says from conflict to connection, you want to basically appreciate their perspective before you offer your own. And then you share your perspective, and then you build a bridge. So, here's what I'm hearing you're saying you need right now. We're in a position to offer this solution while also increasing our own business. So how can we work together? That's the bridge, so that we get you exactly what you need and even more. And we're able to meet our own goals in this whole process. And you invite them in. How would that be? Would you be up for that? And so it works in almost every situation, especially with agents or sellers who might be really defensive and closed off. They will start to open when you start to hear and validate their perspective, and giving them that famous E word, just empathy. And I have charts that I can post for the group that have beautiful feeling words that none of us think of,
I love that.
Yeah. So I'm happy to share whatever I can, or even do a little mini something or other on reflective listening and do practice calls. I've done thousands of hours of them.
I love it. Thanks, Amy. Yeah. If you want to drop those in the chat, I would appreciate that. So 100%.
Okay, I will. I'm not on my computer, but I'll put them in our Facebook group, and I'll email them over to you guys too, so that you have them. Okay.
Sweet.
I'm
Thank you,
happy
Amy.
to.
Love it. Yeah. And I actually too, I literally just did this the other day too. I had a buyer for a deal that we're wholesaling call me and try to negotiate my price after we have already gone under contract. Right. So, we were going back and forth, right? I was getting frustrated, and you could tell she was getting frustrated because we had already gone under contract. Everything was signed. Earnest money's in, right? So we should be good to go. But because we were closing sooner than she had thought, she wanted me to take money off, right? And she said this maybe 3 or 4 times. She said, well, think about it from my position, Dylan. You're not thinking about it from my position. And so what I did was I tried to calm down. I paused. I literally let her exhaust herself. She probably spoke for 5 minutes without me saying a single word. And then I waited 1, 2, 3 after she had finished talking. I said, okay, so it sounds like your position, blah, 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 right? This is why you feel that you need this money off. And she said, that's right. That's exactly it. I'm glad we're on the same page. And I said, okay, great. Now, how can we make this work? Like Amy just said, right now, ask them a question, right? Invite them to brainstorm and come up with a solution. Because here's where I'm at and I can't go anymore. So she felt understood, right? And then it helps you make sure they understand your position as well, too, because once someone feels heard, now they're open to actually listening to you. If someone doesn't think that you're hearing them, they're not going to hear you because they're so caught up in, well, you're not hearing what I'm saying, right? So once someone knows that they've been heard, they're now a lot more apt to listen to what you're saying. So I love that, Amy. Thank you. Okay, sweet. So keep going. Cash offer, right? So that's our next option. Cash just may be a good spot for you. I would say before cash, let's say list it. I don't know if I can edit this. Right. So I sincerely think this is, if we're being nice and upfront and transparent, if they have time on their side, if they have 90 days, they should list it with a realtor because they will get the most eyes on their property. They will get the highest and best offers. And we can still get paid from that. We can refer them to a realtor and still get 30% or 25% of a 3% commission. So if you guys refer someone to us that's in foreclosure and they're interested in listing it, we'll have Angie find that broker in that state to help them list it. Once it closes, right, you will get paid for providing that lead. Cash offer, right? So here's now where we get into the meat and potatoes, right? So this is where everybody else has fallen short, is because they start at number 5. Where number 5 is obviously our 5th option. So cash offer, right? This is going to be best for people that don't have a lot of time. They have equity in their home, right? So this is always a good option. And then this is going to be where you guys need to know comps. You need to know how to estimate repair costs. You need to know how to underwrite to know how much to actually lock a deal up or pitch a number. And even me with and Joey and Dom, right? We never give a number for what we would offer on that first phone call. You always want to defer it to a partner, to an underwriter, to your mathematicians, to the guys that write the checks, right? Hey, I'm not the right person to give you an offer. Why don't I have my partner give you a call right back after this? They'll take a look at it, get some more information from you, and we can make you an offer on the spot. So, it's just never a good idea to say, yeah, well, I'll pay you $120 for this house when you don't even know the full scope of work that's needed. You don't know your comps, right? So, and it's not really worth your time to comp every property, run through your max allowable offer before you make that call, right? So for those of you that are going to be calling this foreclosure script, type the address in Zillow, look at it, but outside of that, right, you don't need to know your comps. You don't need to know your after repair value. Just make that phone call, pitch this first. And then if you get to a cash or a subject to offer, now it's time you can do your underwriting. But you're going to waste a lot of time if you're underwriting and comping before you even make that first phone call. So cash, and then number 6 is sub 2, right? So this is perfect for people that have low equity. They're not open to selling their home at a 60% discount. So, we can do a hybrid, even if they have a decent amount of equity. Sweet. So just wanted to share that with you guys. So moving on, the goal after a yes is to provide as much value as possible by giving a gift of free information. Everyone is offering to buy their house, and this will help you stand out. Lead the conversation with empathy about their situation. If you can help them stay in their house, you have built a future relationship and get a story to tell for the next seller. Like we did that. We helped a guy in foreclosure. He happened to be a web developer, and he built our website for free. We didn't get any money out of it because we just helped him do a loan mod. So we felt great. He felt great, right? And he helped us build a website. So that was awesome. And he goes down as a testimonial for us too. After you listen to their story, give them their options, gather information in the conversation, always ask to follow up in a cliffhanger, a few weeks to make sure they went through with the plans they stated. Always let them know you can be a safety net and help them if all else falls through. Leave call setting up a follow-up call. So great. Yeah. Never leave the call saying, okay, we'll call you back at some point. And then a few weeks seems like a while to me too. I would say, hey, I'm going to call you or shoot you a text tomorrow and see how you're doing. Not every person, but a lot of these people are so stressed out and embarrassed that if you just be their friend and shoot them a text message and just say, hey, hope things are going well today. Even if you're in limbo, there's nothing that you can help them do that day. Just say, hey, thinking about you, making sure everything's good. If you have any questions, feel free to call me. That will really make a friend there, right? So build a relationship, build rapport, build trust, all that good stuff.
Yeah, you make a good point, Dylan. Make a relationship. I actually am friends with every foreclosure that I've stopped. So
yeah,
that's great. And
Yeah.
then refer people to me.
exactly. Yeah. You never know, right? Like where business could come from. You can help someone stop a foreclosure and their sister, could be selling their $2 million home down the road and they need a good agent, right? So you just never know where a sale could come from. So that's why we always lead with empathy, build relationships, all that good stuff. So response number 2, I have it taken care of. Unfortunately, this is the response that you will get the majority of the time, right? Great. What are you doing to stop the auction, if you don't mind me asking? That's very direct. I'm not sure if I would say that straight up. Obviously, probably not too bad. I would maybe say, oh, okay, great. Are you doing a loan modification? You know, I wouldn't just ask them such an open-ended question like that. I would say, okay, great. Sounds like you got it figured out. Are you doing a loan modification, if you don't mind me asking? Something like that. Other responses, they are doing a loan modification, they're getting it paid off. Great, still love to help you. Do you have a plan B if the loan mod doesn't get approved? Maybe I can help you with get a plan B if it doesn't go as planned, all that good stuff. And right, yeah, the conversation could go anywhere from here. So that's why it's always good to have an outline instead of a script, right? Because it could go a million different ways. So if you don't know the answer to a question or situation, every seller situation is different and they all have a bunny. Find the bunnies and a deal is sure to come out of it with a follow-up. Find your state's foreclosure laws at nolo.com. So this is great too. So for you guys that are calling in Florida, Texas, Georgia, and Tennessee, you know, our homework last Friday was make sure you guys do your homework on the laws. Nolo.com is a great website and a resource for you guys. So let me read the chat. Alexis, you must have sneezed. This document is already in the chat. You just have to scroll up a little bit, Alexis, or I can drop the link, I guess, here. There you go, Alexis. Mari says, what's a bunny? A bunny is a little rabbit. It's got 4 feet, big ears. Just kidding. No, a bunny is, it's a term a lot of us sub-2 students use. Pace, when he tells a story about how he got his first deal, he helped a seller find a home for her Cadbury bunnies. And that was the key factor that got him that deal. So that's when you hear find the bunnies, that's what that is. It's like, what's their underlying motivation? What's the main reason that will help you get that deal over anyone else? That's what that means. Shannon says, read Wealth Without Cash to find out more about bunnies. That's it. That's a great book by our guy, Mr. Pace Morby. Right? Is that the book Pace wrote?
Yes.
Okay.
And he also, you know why he has the sub-2 sign with the 2 fingers? Because they look like
Oh, is
bunny.
that? Oh, I did not know that.
Yep.
Love it. All right, let's see. We got some questions. Jen, do you have a question? Oh, you're still muted. You're still muted, Jen.
So I have a Post-it full of agent questions. Should I pass over those today? I can go. I do have a couple pre-foreclosure questions.
Dom and Ange, I'll let you guys answer that.
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll start with the foreclosure. So I do have a guy, total ostrich, head in the sand. Well, he's not head in the sand, but he might be delusional. He's tried to like sue half and the government. And now he is looking at maybe using a temporary restraining order. Have you ever had anyone try that or have success with that?
A restraining order for what?
ERO. I guess it's very high level. I think that a judge can actually place an injunction preventing a foreclosure.
I never heard that.
The way he understood it. I don't know if it's actually used for that purpose. So I was curious.
The seller did?
I think he wants to. He's like, well, what do you think about this approach? And I was like, well, I've never heard of anybody do that, but I'll look into it.
And why? Because they put him in foreclosure?
He can stop his foreclosure that way. He's been through everything else. He's got like 80K in arrears. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like 100,000 now. And he already tried filing for half assistance and they rejected it because they'd only go up to about 60,000.
Yeah. Gosh, I've never heard of I've never heard of that, what you said, but
okay.
No, I've never heard of that. I don't foresee that like holding strong, you know.
Yeah. Okay, we'll just keep following up with him. What do you say when I see, it feels like more and more often that it's brokers' office phone numbers versus direct phone numbers to agents on the listings? What do you say when you call the broker's office and they ask if you're an agent? Because I feel like when I say, no, I'm not an agent, they send me directly to a buyer's agent.
Oh, say, I want to talk to the listing agent who's listing this property.
And that's all you have to say. Okay.
Yes. You could
Okay.
even say you're an agent. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Just say, I want to get the listing agent's phone number because I want to speak to her directly.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit? I don't know why I'm so dense on this subject. Can you talk a little bit about how to approach an agent with an option to buy, and how is that different than just going under contract with an option period?
So you mean like a lease option?
Well, sometimes PACE talks about, well, why don't you just give me the option to buy? I can present it to some of my other partners, see if it's a house for them.
I could talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is a lot of wholesalers do this. When we're wholesaling deals, other wholesalers say, hey, let me have the option to market. It's not the option to buy, it's the option to market, essentially. And I've done this too with real estate agents that won't let me get their seller under contract with an assignable contract. They won't let me wholesale it. And I say, okay, well, can I at least have a non-exclusive option? And if you can get an exclusive option, that's great. But most agents will tell you to kick rocks. But a non-exclusive option is a great option for real estate agents and sellers, because the non-exclusive means you're not locking them up. They can go and find their own buyer and then you're cut out of the deal. You're essentially just another leg of marketing for them, right? So if they agree to the terms, and then getting a non-exclusive option is a great idea. You just have to be sure that how you market that is safe, that your buyer is not just going to go around you and you get cut out of the deal.
I
Okay.
see what she was asking now.
Okay. So there's really no guarantees for anyone. It's just kind of just giving it a shot.
Right. So when I market a property like that, I'm not putting the address. I'm putting very few pictures, right? And then you can make someone sign an NDA. It also depends on how you structure the deal, whether they buy it from you or the real estate agent. They're paying the same price. So it doesn't matter whether they buy it from you or the agent. So might as well buy it from you and help you out. So typically that agent or that seller will take a discount so that way you can make money. But if they've agreed to that, then you're safe enough to market that property. So.
Okay. So could you feasibly even say, all right, well, I'll tell you what, I want to help. I see this, has had so many days on market. I want to help you guys move this house. How about if you just give me the option to market? I'll take it to my buyers. If I do find the buyer for you, and then that's when you negotiate that 30% of their commission.
No. So you're going to want to negotiate whether it's a subject to or a cash offer beforehand. I'd never pitch an option to market unless they tell me, no, we won't let a wholesaler market this. Because goal number one is just to get them under contract and then market it that way. That's your exclusive option to market. But if they won't allow you to market it exclusively, then you can say, okay, well, as long as you agree to these terms, will you allow me to market them at these terms? And then, I'll add my fee on top, type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't understand my notes now. I believe it is the LOI for the hybrid, or maybe it's for the seller finance, or both. Can you talk about the gross and net line item? And should we be putting just the end amount that the person gets paid at the maturity date? Is that net? Like, gross be that total amount that they get paid for the house, and then the net would be whatever minus the mortgage?
Yeah, great question. Let me show that document too, so people know what we're talking about. Let me log back in. And so you guys should be using Doc Hub, just because it's free and it's an amazing software. So I'll show that to you guys in just a second here. Let me get logged in. Okay, so let me share this document. Grab a letter of intent. Make sure this is, so you're right, it's the hybrid and the seller finance. They're both going to say this. And mine is edited, so that's not the right one. Let's see the seller finance LOI. This might be the original. So this line right here, right? Seller will net / gross blank over blank years for the property. So this has to deal with seller financing. So whether it's a hybrid, that's what you're talking about. And I will only leave this in here, right, if I'm attaching an interest rate. So if there's an interest rate attached to the financing I'm offering, I'll leave it in there. If not, I will just delete it and say, you know, you can just copy the same Helvetica and just say like buyer to pay any and all closing costs, something like that. Just to get that verbiage out of there and make it look normal. But yeah, if they are financing a portion of equity with interest, right? So like this, let's say, for example, right, if they're financing $420,000 at 7% interest, they're actually making 1 million and however much over 30 years for the property. So that's how you fill that out. And then if there's a balloon, you just add up the interest over that 7 years or whatever.
Okay. So then do we need to like circle gross, I guess, in that document?
No, I just leave it as is. They'll net / gross. That's up to them, but yeah, I just leave the net / gross as is.
Okay. Then at the bottom of that same document, there's something that says refers to the previous paragraph and something about the standstill, but it doesn't say standstill anywhere else.
Yeah, I had never seen that until a real estate agent emailed it back and said, what is this paragraph about? Like, what does this mean? And to be honest, I have no clue. You're right. It doesn't say anything about a standstill. So maybe that's something we can just delete out of the letter of intent, but I've only ever had one agent say something about that. So it's, you know, it's just a letter of intent too, right? It's just a non-binding, like, hey, here's a mock offer basically. So feel free to edit that document however you feel.
Cool. Okay. Last one about that document, seller name. If you're talking to an agent and they're not giving up their client info, their client's name, you figure that's just not a deal anyway. Do you say, hey, give me the seller's name so I can put it on our letter of intent? Or?
Well, for us, we'll look it up on PropStream or on Privy. But if they're not, I'll just put unknown. I wouldn't say that kills the deal. So yeah, just put unknown.
Thank you.
Sweet. Thanks, Jen. All right. Sweet. If you guys have questions, I would highly encourage you to raise your hand.
I have my hand raised still.
Okay. Let me get to, you got two people in front of you, Amy. Lincoln, what do you got for us?
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, you're
Can you
cutting
hear
out a little.
me?
Yeah, I would say turn off your camera, Lincoln. Sometimes that helps
Hello?
with lagging.
Hello?
Can you hear us? There you go.
Okay. Okay. Firstly, I want to say thank you, guys. You guys are a tremendous help with me in my journey through real estate. I rarely lean on you guys. I appreciate that. I do have some questions pertaining to agent outreach, and I'll try to be quick because I know that this is about foreclosure. One, I have submitted some deals on the deal sheet. So I guess you guys will just contact me, right?
So you should get an email once that deal's submitted with information about who your lead manager is. So it'll be an email and it'll say, hey, my name's Robin, or hey, my name's Linda, or hey, my name's Stevie. Thank you so much for submitting your lead. We'll get working on this. So if you have any questions at all about the status of your lead, you can reply to that email and say, hey, what's the status? And either Robin, whoever it's assigned to, will get your email and be able to reply and say, hey, here's where we're at, all that good stuff. So I would say just reply to those emails if you are ever curious about what's going on with it.
Okay, well, the deals that I submitted, me and my virtual assistant, we tried to put my number in the number section, and for some reason it would not accept my number. So I did put my actual number in like the note section, so you guys know to call me. And we had to put the agent's number in my personal in information that pertains to me. So I don't know why that is. The next thing I wanted to ask you guys was, what happens if a house has 2 loans? I don't know how to underwrite the deal or how to send a LOI if there are 2 loans. If you want me to put the address to one of them in the chat, so I can do that. But I don't know what to do when there's 2 loans.
Yeah, good question. And there's multiple reasons why a house could have 2 loans, right? One could be an FHA loan with a down payment assistance loan. It could be a conventional loan with a HELOC. So there's so many different reasons. Typically, we try to avoid those. We want 1 loan and that's it. So we avoid CHFA, HELOCs. With CHFA, there's not much you can do. You have to pay that loan off. So if it's a small amount, the deal could work. But if it's a HELOC, it's not totally a dead deal. If it's a small amount, it could still be done. You don't have to pay it off. You can take a HELOC over, a line of credit over, subject to. But if it's a large amount, typically those are at adjustable rates, and they're higher interest rates anyways. It probably would kill the deal. But yeah, I mean, it just always depends on what type of loan it is, what's the amount, what's the interest rate attached to it, all that good stuff. So tough to say.
Okay. Can you guys point me in a direction where you have these previously recorded Zooms that deals with agent outreach, because that's what I'm doing, and then also filling out the LOIs. I'm okay when it comes to the subject twos, but I have no idea what to do if I have to fill out a LOI for a seller's finance.
Yeah, absolutely, Lincoln. So I'm going to drop the link to the YouTube channel. So that's where you'll find these videos. I went through I'm sorry, Dylan. I went through the YouTube channels, but there's no caption saying, hey, this one is dealing with agent outreach and this one is dealing with filling out LOIs. Okay. Let me drop.
Unfortunately, we have not been able to label them because every Zoom is different. So we're not sure at the time. So hopefully we can go through and be able to like have somebody and label them.
I'm pretty sure.
I think also, guys, as we're watching, one way we can help Angie and Dom and Dylan and Joey and the team is drop in the comments what the topic is, because that'll help them start to put captions on it so they aren't having to carry all the load.
Oh, look at this. Yeah, so I just dropped a link in the chat for you, Lincoln. That is one where we did call agents. We filled out a net sheet, and look at this. I don't know who this is. La Diosac. I don't know.
Oh yeah, she's done that on a couple of ours. That's cool.
Amazing. Yeah. So you can come over here to an hour 20, right? All that good stuff.
That is amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, check out that one. And then every other one from this video. So today's Tuesday. That's where we're recording right here. So this is a Friday Zoom. This is a Tuesday Zoom. This is a Friday Zoom. Our Friday Zooms are typically where we'll underwrite and send those offers. So every other one, like this one's a Q&A, this one's a Q&A, this one's a Q&A. So every other Zoom, even some of the Friday Zooms are labeled as Q&A when they're not supposed to. But yeah, that would be your good resource for you. But the link I just dropped should put you in the right direction. So
thank you. Last question. what do I do about a house where the agent has permitted me to submit an LOI? However, there's foundation issues. Like, how do I underwrite that, or what do I do about that, just in general?
Yeah, good question. Foundation issues aren't a deal killer all the time, but it will scare a lot of buyers away because there's just no telling. Like, foundation issues could cost $50,000, it could cost $10,000. So really your only options, I would always ask, have you had a structural engineer give you a report? So we've spoke about this a couple of times, but there's a difference between a structural repair company giving you a quote. That's like a mechanic telling you, hey, your oil needs change, your tires are flat, right? They're going to tell you, of course, things are wrong with your car because they need to get paid. Versus a structural engineer is going to be able to tell you without any bias, yeah, you need 3 piers here, you need a jack up over here. So that's probably your best option is see if they've paid for a structural engineer. Or you might have to pay for one yourself. It's going to cost about $500 to $600. And that's why most wholesalers tend to stay away from them, is because they don't want to pay that money for who knows what. So.
Yeah, someone is saying that Stevie Brown, I think you were saying that it was 21K. Yeah, that's what they told me. They said that they got a quote for 21K. So I don't know if that would help the deal. And then there's another property with the foundation issue, and they got it fixed, and they have an 8-year warranty on it. So I don't know if that would also scare buyers away.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stevie.
It will scare some buyers away, but other buyers look for foundation issues because that's their niche. They know that other buyers aren't scared of that. So that's what they specialize in. So, and two, right, like I said, they might quote you for 21,000, but a structural engineer might say, hey, you only need 3 piers. That's going to cost you $8,000, so that's why, a structural engineer is what you'd like. But yeah, I mean, feel free, you can still submit it if you want, Lincoln, and we could take a look at it. So.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys.
Thanks, brother. All right, Amy, let me blow my nose real quick.
Lincoln, you did get all the links, right?
Angie,
I'm looking at them now. I'm getting ready to copy them now. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Yeah, those 3 that I put in, Stevie told me to look at the first few videos from the channel. If you scroll all the way down, you'll find a lot of info there. That's why I posted those, because I saved them. So I found a lot of good info on those.
Great, Luis. I'm glad you got it.
Luis, could you repeat yourself? I'm sorry.
I said I posted 3 videos on the chat. Those you're gonna find a lot of info as to how to fill out the different, like the deal or no deal, the letter of intent, and also the seller's net sheet as well, which are pretty much the 3 papers that I think you sent. Well, 3 documents that you send when you send an offer. So in those 3 videos, you'll be able to find those. You just kind of like speed it to 1.5 or 1.25 or 1.5, so you can go through it fast, or see where, where they're filling out the paperwork, where you'll find them there.
Thank you for your assistance, Louis. I appreciate that. Thank you, guys.
Hey, sweet. All right, Amy, what is your question?
Okay, thank you, Don. Your voice must be getting tired, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So a kind of a weird question. I have a deal, as you know, under contract, and it does have foundation issues, Lincoln, so it doesn't kill the deal. But one of my friends who was sending it to his buyers list was going to look on Investor Lift, and he found that somebody has actually advertised the property. Unbeknownst to me, it was a company, and they advertised it with a premium. So I don't know if it's somebody who told me they're an individual who just had a buyer's list, or how to find out. When I asked my agent about it, he said, well, because it's really not my listing, it's the seller's agent's listing, even though it's off market, so it's not listed anywhere. He said that he couldn't really flag it or ask them to be accountable for it, but I really wanted yours or Angie's or Dom's expertise, because to me it feels fraudulent, because they don't even have it under contract, and they certainly have not. I told everybody I talked to, I do not want you like posting this, advertising it. If you have individual buyers, or if you're an individual buyer, that's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. We've had people do this a lot, where I even had a sub-2 student call me and say, hey bro, thanks for, like selling us this deal. And I was like, well, you're welcome, but I didn't sell it to you. And then he sent me an assignment contract with a different escrow, a different title company, a different assigning company. It wasn't even my company. So that will happen to you pretty often, where these wholesalers see your post on Facebook and they'll post it on Investor Lift with a premium. And I'm not sure what their strategy is, whether, because right, like how do they get, unless you've shared access to your contract, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So I'm not sure how Investor Lift works, but you can probably say, hey, I'm an interested buyer or whatever, and let them reach out to you and say, hey, you guys are illegally marketing this property, which they are. If they don't have an option to market or a signed contract, they have no equitable interest, and they're illegally marketing that property. So yeah, I mean,
That's what
you
I
just have to
thought.
get in
It's
contact with them.
Caravel.com is the company. And I didn't post it on Facebook intentionally. I
Yeah.
only shared it in DMs. And there's no like listing. So anyway. Okay.
Yeah. Has your seller gone under contract previously?
Not that I know of. This was the agent who had it as a pocket listing, and she just reached out to me because I had reached out to her about a property that is on the MLS, and I wasn't interested in that one. And she said, hey, but I have this other one. Would you be interested? I said, absolutely. So she hasn't shared it. And I know that she had an investor who did this kind of thing to her. And so she would not go behind my back. And I've vetted people as carefully as I could who expressed individual interest, and like, what is the big company? Anyway, I'll think of their name. Not Northwest, but New Western. I didn't even send it to them because they had approached me about it.
Yeah. Yeah. You just have to get in touch with whoever's marketing it. So maybe like skip trace that company, that LLC, and find out.
Yeah, I
who
did.
they are.
Okay. All right. I did. Then I thought I had legal rights. I just know my agent is really protective about him being the one to contact people. So I'll let him know. Because they can't really do anything, right? Legally, can they sell it or assign it?
No, unless they have your underlying contract, I don't think so. Even if they have your underlying contracts, I still don't think so.
It would still be fraud. Okay.
It'd still be fraud. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless like they, stole some signatures and stuff, then definitely fraud. But there's no legal way for them to sell your property like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Sweet. Luis.
Hey guys. All right, so it's not specific to foreclosures, but yeah, so I've watched a couple of videos of you guys making calls, and some of them underwriting deals. But you said earlier that you don't underwrite every every lead before you call them, just because it's gonna take a lot of time. Do you have like a quick, math that you do from that seller? Let's say, for example, if you're looking for like low equity on their selling price, and then what they own a mortgage. Do you have anything quick that I can maybe utilize to say this may be a deal, this may not be a deal, so I can start like calling?
Yeah. So I'm not looking at anything typically above higher than a 4.5% interest rate. And that's a general rule, right? If you're looking at a deal in Ohio and the interest rate is 5%, but it's a $40,000, $60,000 house, it's still a good deal. But if you're looking at, once you start to get up to $500,000 homes and that interest rate's higher than 4.5%, not too many people are interested in a deal like that, because it's still going to be a $3,000 a month payment. So look for low interest rates. And then when I'm underwriting deals, I'm always trying to get into them for less than 7%. That's my goal. Typically is 7%. If I can get into it for 7%, I know that I can mark it up by another 3% and sell it at 10%. So that's kind of my quick underwriting. So like my down payment to the seller is going to be around like 4 to 6%. And then my offer to the agent, if there's an agent, is going to be 1 to 2%, something like that.
Okay. Yeah, so I was actually give you an example. I was looking at houses in Philadelphia. I know Philadelphia is one of the blue states. So I don't know if you guys have any buyers for an area like this. Well, Pennsylvania is one of the blue states, not Philadelphia. But most of and I put the filter that you put on one of the videos to save like under 4.5 or under 4.3 interest rate, and one loan. And I put the loan to value more than 80%. I also put the equity less than 15%. I found a couple of deals, right? In the 250,000, 285,000. But then when I on the road, I actually submitted one of them, and Stevie was helping me out with it. Thank you so much, Stevie. You so much great help, and you too, Dylan. You guys give like tons of info, so I love it. And but yeah. And they will all end up like the best one that I on the road was probably like $150 was what was left after everything was said and done. Like I'll do the 0.85 to count for the maintenance, and then the company that's gonna rent it for you, and then I'll do like the PTI, and then whatever like down payment, and then what we're gonna pay the seller for on a monthly basis. But typically I found that it's only like $150 to $200 left. Is that even enticing for anybody to buy a deal like that? Or
so you're talking about cash flow, like when you go and rent this property. Yeah. To be honest, man, I would say 80% of the deals, if not more of the deals we've wholesaled, don't cash flow, or they cash flow a couple $100, because not every investor, right? Most investors want a deal, right? It's funny, when we first got into sub 2, there was so many people posting, hey, I'm looking for a deal with a, $15,000 entry, and it needs to cash flow $1,000 a month. If you have this, DM me. And you would just see them get lit up in the comments like, yeah, me too, right? Get in line. So it's pretty rare to see a deal with low entry and high cash flow, right? So either a deal is going to have high cash flow with a high entry, or it's going to have roughly a 10% entry with minimal to no cash flow, because there's other exit strategies, right? So you could do midterm rental, you could do short term, which we don't recommend. You could wrap it. You could just take depreciation. So like we've sold a handful of properties to guys that do rent it out, and they do plan to lose money, but they need to do that because they make so much money in rent on their other properties, or so much money from their W-2s, they need to take a loss on something. So we're not too concerned with cash flow necessarily when we're considering locking these deals up or not.
Gotcha. And just to let you go, I know I talk a lot, so sorry, if I'm taking a lot of your time, but are you guys interested in properties in blue states or only red states?
So we'll wholesale across the country. We just closed a deal in California today. So for us personally, right, as smart investors, we want to own rental properties in red states with landlord friendly laws. But that doesn't mean that there's not investors buying deals in California, Colorado. We live in a blue state. So yeah, we're not opposed to it.
All right, great. So I guess, it's my backyard, so I guess it's easier for me to learn, how to, possibly send deals to you guys, because I know what the rents go for, I know what the prices for the houses are.
Yeah.
If I can, but if it's too value for you guys for me to submit them, then I'll definitely, but I'm gonna do that. So
Yeah, absolutely. No, I see some sub 2 students killing it in PA. So there's obviously buyers out there, right? You can get some good Section 8, you can get some good cash flowing properties as well too. So yeah, we're not opposed to PA at all.
all right, perfect. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, guys. Sorry, I keep pausing because I need to blow my nose, but
Drake, if you want to ask a question, you can go ahead.
I was just wondering what your guys' take on those adjustable rates are,
On
adjustable mortgages.
Dylan, you have to ask Dylan because they do the underwriting, and I'm not even sure if we will take those.
yeah, pretty rare will consider an adjustable rate, but there's properties where we see, hey, they might have a 2.5 rate and it's adjustable, but it doesn't start adjusting for another 8 years. So like, we'll look at a deal like that, right? Because you have that 2.5 locked in for at least 7 or 8 years, and then it starts adjusting by 1 point or however many points per year. So you'll just need to see a copy of their mortgage statement and understand when it starts adjusting, how much it could start adjusting, what the cap is, all that good stuff. So again, not a deal killer, but just depends on what type of adjustable rate it is.
Because I called one on one earlier in Colorado Springs. That's a VA loan, and it's an adjustable rate. And when I first called and I talked to the realtor, he said, I asked him to kind of tell me a little about the property, and he said, "Is this a subject to offer?" And I said, "Well, that's one way I do purchase properties." And he said, "We're not interested." And he hung up on me. And I messaged him. I said, "Well, that's really serving your client well. This property's been on the market for 150 days. No wonder you can't sell it, because you hang up on everybody." And he turned around and said, "I'm gonna reach out to your client and just see if he's been notified of any of these kind of offers." And he's like, "Well, we just took it off the market. Go ahead and reach out to him." And I was looking at it, and it's an adjustable rate. I didn't
Is that what
realize that
PropStream says?
Yeah.
Yeah, PropStream tends to be wrong. Most VA loans are not going to be adjustable. They're going to be fixed. PropStream is just probably wrong, but
Well, see on PropStream, it says it's an adjustable rate at 5.51%. But where I pulled it from, it says it's I don't remember where I pulled it from, but it was like a 2.9 interest rate on it is what I had seen. Oh, on PropStream at the beginning, on the property details page, at the bottom it says it's a 2.9 interest rate VA loan. But then when you go in and click on the mortgage history, it says it's a VA loan with an adjustable rate.
yeah, I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure VA loans don't do adjustable rates. Not 100% on that, but I'm pretty sure. And yeah, PropStream just tends to be wrong. I always, whether their interest rates 4.5, I usually give it a 1% sway. It could be 3.5 or it could be 5.5. So I never take whatever PropStream says at face value. They're usually close, but they tend to be off most times.
Which one do you go off of? The property details rate that it shows, or the mortgage and history rate?
The mortgage and history rate.
All right.
But in my letter of intent, what we'll do is sometimes and say, hey, or our records show, we used to write, we are assuming this loan is at 3.5,
Yep.
and a lot of verbiage, that verbiage gets mixed because they think, oh, you're assuming my rate. Great. So we say our records indicate this rate is at 2.5, offer subject to change, yada,
Yep.
yada, yada.
Yep. I've
So
seen that.
yeah, it's usually off. So, always try to find out from the seller or the agent if they know what it is. If they don't, say, okay, no worries, we'll make an offer assuming or guessing that
Under
it's
the
at
assumption it's
2.5.
this. Yeah.
Right, exactly, yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, I was gonna reach out to to that seller here and talk to him
Mm-hmm.
and just see what I just wanted to know what your guys is, because after the realtor came back, I looked at it again on PropStream, and yeah, it showed that it was an adjustable rate, and I just was wondering what your takes on those kind of mortgages is.
Yeah, again, not a deal killer, but PropStream's usually wrong. Yeah, I don't think VA
Would do that.
offers adjustable. Yeah, not positive, but I'm pretty sure they wouldn't.
Awesome. All righty.
Sweet. Right on. Thanks, Drake. All right. All right. Last question. Amari, I hope I've been saying your name right this whole time. Let me know if not.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you actually been saying it right. Thank you.
Okay. Sweet. Yeah.
I just want to say thank you to you guys for this Zoom. This is actually my first time being able to kind of be on this Zoom most of the time. I just joined the Elephant Challenge that Pace had last month. Thank
Sweet,
you.
man.
Uh,
Yeah. Welcome.
My question is, so I decided on my market on Raleigh, North Carolina, but I'm kind of stuck on, do I find a deal first, then find a buyer, or do I find a buyer and then find a deal? I've been kind of hearing both and both sides.
Right. Such a good question. It's the age-old question, right? Which came first, the chicken or the egg? So I would say there's no right answer. Obviously, if you find a buyer first and they give you their parameters, you now have you're now more sniping instead of shooting a machine gun, right? So you now know exactly what to look for. But if that buyer, you can't find a deal for them, right now you're screwed. So what we did is we did both at the same time. We were hunting for deals at the same time. We were having conversations with buyers and learning, what do most buyers want, right? They want, when we're talking creative finance, they want deals with 10% entries on average, and they want 4.5% interest rates or better. Cash flow is not too important. Bed bath count, good areas, low crime rate, right? So I would say try and do both at the same time, right? So be on Facebook, be on Privy, talking to buyers, but at the same time, right, don't just focus on that. Be looking for deals as well too. So I would say both.
And we have buyers, so bring your deals and we'll find the buyer.
Good point. Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. Now I do have a really basic question. I'm really
Shoot.
sorry.
No worries, man.
But I don't know if I haven't gotten my first deal, and I don't know if I should have an LLC by now or if I shouldn't. Someone from Sub 2 called me and they said, you don't really need an LLC because you don't really have anything to give if they were to sue you. But I just watched the video of Pace saying it's the foundation. You need anonymity. And I'm like, now I'm really confused.
Same thing, right? That's an age-old question that will never stop being debated. Do you need an LLC or not? I always recommend, if you have an extra $400 laying around, most people don't have an extra $400 just laying around, right? But if you can afford it, I would recommend getting an LLC. It's definitely going to be worth it because it makes you look more professional, right? So when you go to wholesale and you're an investor, but you're not in buying with an LLC, it just doesn't look as official. Same thing for lawsuits and all that stuff, right? But as a new wholesaler, especially if you're going to JV with a team like us, you're not going to really need one. So I would say it's not an absolute necessity, but it is nice to have. So maybe save up a little bit. I would recommend it, but
I would
again,
say in
yeah.
the beginning, just utilize our team or whoever's team you want that has the LLC, do the deals, and then when you get the money, when you're doing deals, then you can buy your LLC once you've closed a transaction, right? That way you're not struggling. You just use our team where we're your partners.
Right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you don't have to worry
No,
about
that definitely does make sense. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Sorry for these basic
Don't be
questions.
sorry. No,
I know this is about
these are good
foreclosure. Thank you.
questions. No, you're good. That's good.
Good questions. Yeah. Thanks, Amari. All right, sweet. Very last question. No doubts about
I
it.
gotta just say one thing. Melody's been trying to have a question asked for a while now. She's on her cell phone and she can't figure out how to raise her hand on her cell phone. So
Okay.
I'll let Alexis go, but I just wanted to say that.
I forgot to say that too. Sorry, Stevie. I saw that.
Okay, last two questions. All right, Alexis, what do you got for us?
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so this is like a really stupid basic question, but I can't figure it out. So I'd like to ask. Two questions. What are the red states and what are the blue states? That's my question one. And question two is they say wrap. So what does wrap really mean?
I love it. You have a very simple question and then in such a high level question. So yeah, blue states and red states, to be honest, just a simple Google search is probably going to be the best resource for you there. And we're not concerned with politics, right? Like to be honest, I could care less about politics. The reason we talk about red states and blue states is because of the landlord and tenant laws. Red states tend to be more landlord friendly, where blue states tend to be more tenant friendly. So just a simple Google search for that, Alexis, will help you out there. California, Washington, Oregon, Colorado, New York, New Jersey, PA tend to be your blue states, more liberal, right? More tenant friendly, versus, Texas, Oklahoma, all these other states tend to be your red states. So now a wrap. A wrap is almost it's a literal term. It's, if I could use a very basic example for it, right? Like Alexis, let's say I gave you a crock pot. Let's say I'm a lender and I gave you a loan for a home. Let's say that's a crock pot. I gave you a crock pot for Christmas and you just don't really use that crock pot anymore, right? It's in good standing. It's in good shape, but you don't really want that crock pot anymore. You would then rewrap it and give it back to someone else for their birthday or for Christmas. So that is what is happening when you wrap a loan. So let's say, right, I buy someone's house subject to with a 3% interest rate. I'm going to wrap that loan with a new loan at a 6% interest rate and then sell it to someone else. That's what a wrap is. So I make the difference from that 3% to that 6% every month as a lender. That's what a wrap is.
Okay. And wrap can only be an exit strategy, couldn't be an acquisition strategy, correct?
It could be an acquisition strategy, but I like you're very thinking high level, which I love. You're right. Typically, you want to acquire a property subject to, or on a hybrid. You don't want to acquire a property on a wrap unless your seller is mirroring the exact terms of the loan on a wrap, meaning they're not increasing the interest rate, basically. So, but yeah, a wrap is typically an exit strategy.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Thank
Great.
you.
Thanks, Alexis. All right. And then, sorry, who?
Melody
Melody?
Salceda.
Come on down,
I'm going to
Melody.
teach her how to raise her hand before the next Zoom.
Hi there. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you. I didn't know how to do the little hand raise, but I have a question and I want you like, don't be easy on me. Constructive criticism. I had a property that I put underneath the option contract. And what that means is that I had it, like I told the buyer, what's the least you would take for it? We came up with the price. It was at 120. And then I sold it to an end buyer at 150, but he got really antsy. And he actually went to the real estate board commission and filed a lawsuit against me. And so he took my buyer and my, basically my, like my hard-earned work. And I was wondering, what could I have done? So I basically missed out on like 30,000 because I already had the end buyer waiting and I didn't have to pay no closing costs or anything. Because I already had end buyer at 150.
Yeah. Well, congrats, Melody. That's huge. You're not a real estate investor or business owner until you get sued. So congrats on that. That is a step in the right direction, to be honest. So you got an option to buy. You didn't get him under contract, is what it sounds like.
No, I had a standard purchase sales agreement with an option contract. So what I do is in my standard purchase and sales agreement, like for me, I put an earnest on money to bind the contract. Then after we bind the contract, I have an option, and what I'm doing, I'm selling my option contract to the end buyer. And so what that means is that this house was like worth I think like 180 or something, but I had an end buyer at 150. And so I was like the middle person in between where I got the money. So I'm basically selling my contract to the end buyer, cashing it out. It's called an option contract.
Yeah. Yeah. You're wholesaling it. Yeah. What state are you in?
New Mexico.
New Mexico. Okay. So some states, I'm not familiar with New Mexico, but in states like Oklahoma and Michigan, they are not very friendly to wholesalers. So if a seller is privy to what you're doing, they can file a lawsuit on you. And depending on how that judge is feeling that day or whether they've eaten lunch or not, literally could be the deciding factor. So it depends on your state laws. So you have to be careful. One way to completely avoid all of that is what's called a double close. Have you heard of that, Melody?
I did. And so here I actually tried doing a double close or simultaneous closing here in New Mexico. And I actually got 8 balls from a couple title companies. They said, you just sound shady and we don't want you working with us. And and so some of them didn't understand it. They thought it was shady.
So that's just doing your due diligence on title companies. And Pace has YouTube videos about this. He talked about this in the Elephant Challenge, is you need to know which title companies are wholesale friendly, will do double closings, know what they're talking about with wholesaling and double closes, right? Because there's title companies in every single state and closing attorneys, I guarantee it, that are friendly to wholesalers and double closes, and they know how to do that properly to where the seller is not aware of what's happening. So that's you just need to know the right title companies. I would say start calling some title companies and say, hey, I'm a real estate wholesaler and I would like to double close. Is that something you guys do? And if they're like, well, you sound shady, I would say, well, you sound like you don't know what you're doing. And then call the next one.
Okay.
Melody,
Okay.
what
Yes.
state?
I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and my deals were here are here in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And that was exactly, I said, do you guys do simultaneous close? I'm coming. I have an end buyer. I'm going to do simultaneous closing. They're like, do that. And so I do need that's one thing where my hole is in my business that I need to look for, like you said, wholesale investor, understanding that type of closing.
Okay. And by the way, Diana says hello.
Hi,
Hello.
Diana. Hi, beautiful. How are you? Yes.
I'm coming. I've been to the airport, picked up more people. I just got back into this thing. Hello, everybody.
Aww,
I'm back.
so beautiful.
It's going to be super helpful, Melody, now that you're going to be part of the team and being connected. That's going to be super helpful as well. And if anybody wants to join the sub 2 community, We have connections to all sorts of resources as well. So that's great that you guys can get in here and learn as much as possible. So I'm excited for y'all.
Thank you.
For a title company in New Mexico. I have a whole list right here.
Yeah, Santa Fe, New Mexico. Actually, I was calling title companies today and asking them to send me their list.
Yeah.
And some of them, they knew exactly what I was talking about, and some were just like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So there's a nationwide one that we've used sometimes when we can't find a good title company, called Title Clearing and Escrow LLC.
Okay.
So they're a good one. And then another one is Empora Title. They're out of Ohio, but they're licensed to do transactions in all 50 states, even attorney states.
Can you spell that one? It's called Pora.
Empora, Empora. And I'm going to type those in the chat. Yeah.
Empora. And the other one was
Title Clearing and Escrow LLC, and then Empora Title. I really like Empora. They have an amazing website that you can like stay up to date. You can chat with your escrow officer. They'll give you updates that you can upload documents. Empora Title seems like a really great company. So I like them. I would suggest them first, but call them and vet them. We typically don't do double closes unless we feel the need to, but also the right title company will hide your assignment fee from your seller. Your buyer will see it, but if your buyer's an investor and they know you're wholesaling it, they don't typically care how much you make as long as their numbers work out, right? Who cares how much you're making? So yeah, a lot of the title companies we use have blind closings where the seller's only getting a seller's settlement statement. They're not seeing how much our buyers coming to the table with. They're not seeing what our assignment fee is. So you just need to find a good title company is the simple answer to that.
Well, I guess my question was there a way, like when we were kind of like, when I was dealing with that seller, was there a way, because I think what happened, he saw how much money I was going to get off it. And he basically, like I said, he ran up to the real estate, filed a lawsuit, and I was, like a lot fresher. So, and he basically like just snagged it, like, and it just got really heated. And
yeah.
And so he took like I said, the end buyer at the end because the lawyers were on my back and stuff.
Yeah.
Was there a way to protect that end buyer? Like, no, we had a contract, and they said I was acting so the real estate commission said I was acting like a real estate agent, and I told them no, I wasn't. I was assigning my contract, and they also didn't understand that.
Right. And that's why having a title company and then also, having attorneys and stuff like that on your side. And, that's a good learning experience. You learned a lot. So rule number one is having a good title company that makes sure that seller is not privy to what's going on. A transaction coordinator, Stevie says, is also very important. Whether it's creative finance or cash, having a transaction coordinator is always a good idea. And then, getting better at your pitch. I've heard some wholesalers say, right, we might not be the end buyer for this, but what we do is we could sell this to one of our partners and we'll just offer a white glove experience where it's no legwork on your own. We will essentially sell this deal for you and they'll pay us a fee on top of what you're getting. So that's another way you can let them know, hey, I might make some money off of selling this. But right, if you're going to make 30K or more, right, they might get upset. So that's why having a good title company or double closing is always important.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys. I a whole bunch, everything.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. No, good question, Melody. Angela says, I've heard over $15,000 assignment fees should always double close. Yeah, I mean, probably a good method. A double close will cost more money because you're going to have to get a gator lender, for example, especially if you're doing cash, right? Like if you're wholesaling $250,000 homes in cash, you have to find a short-term bridge loan for someone to fund that 250. and then double close, because you can't just use your buyer's funds. You have to actually bring that cash to the table. So you need to have a good financing partner in order to double close if you're doing cash deals as well. So that's why it's not always feasible to double close, but a good title company will make sure that your seller is not seeing your assignment fee, which is totally legal. You just have to avoid seller jitters. Yeah, exactly. So double close is fine, but it does cost more money on your end to do that. Sweet.
Thank you.
Thanks, Melody. All right, guys. Well, my voice is fried. My allergies are going, so we're gonna call it. I'm gonna do this one more time. So where are we at? If you guys don't mind, we got 55 people in here. I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers on IG. I'm gonna be in the mastermind, a sub-2 mastermind in Arizona this week. I leave tomorrow. I'm gonna be out there. I'm gonna try to do some more interviews. I have a great video where I interviewed Cody Barton. I'm gonna see if I can maybe get an interview with Pace. Just ask a random question and share it. So look forward to that. I also have some live seller calls and post meetups and stuff like that too. So if you guys don't mind, drop a follow for your boy on Instagram. And then, yeah, make sure you guys are tapped into the Facebook. You're subscribed to the YouTube channel. We do this Zoom twice a week. So tons of free resources, tons of value for you guys. Thanks, Terry. Appreciate it, brother. And then, yeah, if you guys have deals, man, that's the best way you can help us is by submitting your leads. And we would love to JV and walk you through them from start to finish. So thank you guys so much. We will see you on Friday. I'm not sure if I'll be the one running it, but we will come up with a game plan and maybe we'll make some live calls to foreclosures.
Hey, Dylan, I
Yeah.
hate to interrupt you real fast.
No, please.
Stevie's gonna take care of it for us.
Okay, sweet. So we got to make sure we get Stevie set up.
Yes. Thank you, Stevie.
Sweet.
Thanks, guys. Look forward to it. See you guys on Friday.
Right on.
Thank you.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys
Thank
on
you.
Friday. Everybody have a good week. Be safe.
Thanks,
And-
guys.